Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I come to you guys in not the best of mood. I should say I'm just not feeling the best at the moment. However, I feel like there's some things I stated in past videos that I just want to clarify because I really hate when people, I hate when my thoughts aren't communicated well enough and where people seem to misunderstand what I'm saying or jump to conclusions. So I want to clarify my opinions on some things. But also I really just want to state this at the beginning of the video because before people, maybe I should state this at the beginning of all of my unpopular opinions videos, but I am not someone who cares. Well, I should say, I am not someone who needs people to agree with me. I am not someone who seeks to only be surrounded by people who agree with me. You know, I have opinions on things that might not be popular, that a lot of people might not agree with or could disagree with. And I welcome people who disagree with me, right? Like, we can have a difference of opinion. That does not mean I dislike or hate someone because they don't agree with me. However, I think if you don't agree with something somebody says, you can voice your opinion respectfully. And most of the time, people are very respectful, but there's every now and then where people are just being rude. So, I have posted, well, that's the first part. The second part is, if you are someone who's easily offended, if you're someone who only wants to follow people who think exactly like them, believe exactly like them, like if you're not welcome, or if you don't like people who oppose or have challenging views or opposing views to you, I'm probably not the person you need to follow. Now, at the end of the day, I don't mind people having different views from mine, but I am going to voice how I feel and also be able to explain why I feel the way I do. And at the end of the day, I speak for myself and myself only. It's not like I'm saying other people have to agree with me. I'm not saying you have to agree with me. I'm just literally stating how I feel and why. And I feel like some people take that and try to assume other things about someone or try to put more into that than what's actually there, which again, like, I can't control other people. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I wanted to preface this video with this. So I do feel like I had filmed a lot of political type themed videos back in, I had to have filmed these back in August. It's October now, by the way. So I filmed these back in August, but they were posted in October, which is close to the election. So I guess they're getting more traction than I expected. But I had made a video reacting to a video I saw, a TikTok actually I had seen by Blair White, and she was interviewing people like Trump or Kamala, and what I just noticed as an observation, and I hope people realize too, I do not really fully support either political candidate. Like, I will never share my political views as far as, well, this is the thing, I'm not I do not have a political identity. Like, I don't claim to be a Democrat. I don't claim to be a Republican. I'm truly independent. You know, I have friends Well, I have friends on both sides, honestly. I have friends who are Trump supporters. I have friends who are Democrats and hate Trump and everything else. So I truly do not pick a side as far as who I'm aligned with politically. And I think some people read into my videos like, oh, like just because I point out something I don't agree with or I don't like doesn't mean I'm like, well, at the end of the day, it's like I'm gonna say how I feel, and how I feel is how I feel. You don't have to agree. Moving on. I do think though I don't want to make political content because I do think it's very divisive. People have, and I honestly feel like that's like anything that really matters, I guess, can be super divisive because I talk a lot about religion. I've talking about politics, talking about like subjects that are very touchy feely and that people can have strong opinions on. I feel like is never a good idea. But I feel like I'm also someone who's not afraid to say what's on my mind. But I do think like you can say things respectfully and then you can say things disrespectfully. And sometimes how you say something is more important than what you actually are saying, because you might be saying something that's true, but if you're saying it in like a mean, nasty way, people don't want to listen, right? You know, like they say, like medicine goes down a lot easier with honey. Same way, like if you are talking, how you talk to someone matters. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So I do try to voice my opinions as respectfully as possible because I'm not, like, I don't try to offend people. Now, do some people get offended by my opinions? Yes, but I can't control whether or not someone gets offended or not. But I don't intentionally say things to offend people. Like, that's not my actual intention. My only intention is really sharing how I feel, explaining why I feel that way, and that's really it. So anyways, the real thing I wanted to address / clarify was in my dating video. So I talked about like dating as a plus size woman, why I don't like using dating apps or whatsoever. And I got a comment that was kind of rude, basically saying like, oh, you're only on a dating app because you are seeking attention. And I just wanted to say to that, if I was seeking attention, well, I mean, I can't even, this is the only thing I'm gonna say. I don't respond to any of the messages that I get from men. And it's like, I feel bad. I do feel bad, and I just don't know. I really don't know how to delete my app. Or, it's not an app. I mean, I don't want to say what app it's not I'm trying not to give too much information. Basically, the dating app I'm on, I signed up for on accident, and that's the only hint I'm gonna give, because it's not an app that is solely for dating. That's all I'm gonna say. So anyways, I truly don't care to get attention from someone I'm not interested in. And that's something that is common, I think, for people. Like, it does absolutely nothing for me, other than make me feel overwhelmed. But truly, I think I am not the average person when it comes to dating. I know that already, which is why, like, my opinions on a lot of things when it comes to dating are not going to be popular. It's not going to be the norm. It's not going to be what the average person does or thinks. And I know this already. I've always felt this way. Like, I always felt like I've always found dating to be like, I don't want to say weird, but I was never the person in school that had like a lot of crushes. I wasn't dating in high school, college even. Um I definitely am not the average person when it comes to dating. I really don't like going on dates. And when I clarified that I really got on dating apps as a way to see what's out there, because maybe, I do hear stories that some people actually can meet, their spouse online in dating apps. And I used to actually, in college, I was actually really obsessed with using dating apps. So every time a new dating app would come out, I would get on it, make up a profile, and it was just the thing that I used to enjoy doing. But I've never been on a date with someone. Oop, I almost lied. I've been on one date with someone off of a dating app, and it went horrible. And I said never again. Um, but yeah, I do agree though. Like, my intentions with being on a dating app is more so, I guess I want to see what's out there because maybe I'm missing something, but then I get on and I realize it's kind of a waste of time. But you know, I always hold on to hope that maybe I should just keep trying, and maybe I should do this or do that. But to be quite honest, I do think like dating apps are not for me. I am not the right person to be on dating apps. Sorry, I need some tea because my throat does not feel the best. It's too hot for me to drink right now. And also, I'm scared I'm going to spill it, so let me set it down. All right, anywho, the main thing was, I feel like I do have very strong opinions for me personally for my expectations out of dating. One, because I see dating as for the purpose of marriage. That might not be how a lot of people are dating. I understand that. I understand that most people are dating just to see what's out there. Well, honestly, I can't speak for other people. I can only really speak for myself. I know I am not the average person when it comes to dating. I am not someone who's going on a lot of dates. I am not someone who's been in multiple relationships, someone who, I don't know, seeks a partner. I don't know. I don't really get crushes on a lot of people. I really think a lot of it too just comes down to I am very intentional, and I also have a very clear mindset on what I want, and I don't want to settle for something less than what I want. And honestly, I still think I need to do a lot more work on myself as a person. And this is something I go back and forth on because I do think it's good to work on yourself, but I also don't think like you have to be perfect or have it all together in order to date or be in a relationship. You know, I don't think that's like a requirement of dating. But I would like to be in a more stable, I guess, just place and have like a lot more a lot better things going on before I date. The main thing is though, I know I'm not the average person when it comes to dating. I don't have the average mindset when it comes to dating. I am not the average. I just don't have the that mindset. And I've always known that because I watched all of my friends be like, oh, I want to do this. And I'm just like, why? Why? Like, it's not that I see anything wrong with it. It's just like, it really just is. I'm my own person. And I am not the average person. So, and I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, the average, like being dating like the average person does and just going on, you know, you date multiple people, you get in a relationship, you see what works out, what doesn't, get married, whatever. Like, that's what's the most normal, right? Like, that's what most people do to get in a relationship. I just am not most people. And that is why my views on some things may seem extreme or may seem, you know, well, that's not normal, or most people do this, most people do that. It's like, I'm aware that I don't have, I'm not dating the way the average person does. And I don't think the way the average person does either. And that's okay. Like, again, my thoughts and opinions, I guess how I think about it is really just like, my thoughts and opinions control how I date, and that doesn't affect anyone else, right? Other people can date however they want to date. Like, I can't control, nor am I trying to control how other people date. But I also think, you know, there's things that I notice other people do that I personally just wouldn't do, or that I don't agree with. And that's not something that I'm trying to, you know, like, I'm not trying to criticize other people for doing something. It's just like, I personally wouldn't do that, you know? It's just like, to each their own. What works for others might not work for me, and I don't have to, but I'm not in other people's relationships, right? So, to each their own, in all honesty. But I think, when it really comes down to it, I think, I just know there is I just don't feel like I'm meant to date the way other people date. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I just don't feel like that's the way that other people do things has never come natural to me, or has never seemed, and I don't like when people try to, like, label everything. Like, I've had people try to say, oh, you're this sexuality, or you're this. It's like, no, I'm not, claiming, claiming, to be, like, I don't like when people try to put, I don't like when the people try to put labels on everything. Like, this is just how I think. This is just how I feel. It's really not anything more than that. But when it really comes down to it, I think if I'm okay being single, that's not the end of the world. And I also think, too, a lot of how I feel about dating is shaped by the things that I've observed in other people. Ugh, my throat's hurting. Like, even my mom will try to give me advice for dating. I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like it's okay to not be interested in dating, or to just, be a late bloomer. And I feel like I found there's a lot more people like me who really just didn't really date in their younger formative years and really just don't have interest in dating than it seems like. Like, I know, and it's just like what's normal for some people is not normal for others. It just never seemed right right to me to, I don't know. And I also, like, when I did try to force myself to go on dates, I always regretted them because I just felt like I let myself get peer pressured into doing something I really didn't want to do because I was trying to please other people. Like, my friends would be like, oh, Jasmine, just go, just do it. And I would be like, I really don't want to. So, like, it's okay to be different at the end of the day. Like, everyone doesn't have to think the same. Everyone doesn't have to feel the same way about things. It's just like it's okay to be different and not do things the way everyone else does them. But I also think too, like, however you decide to do things, just make sure you think it through. Make sure you know all of your options. Make sure you are doing things that is going to put you in a, good situation. And there's a lot more I could say about it, but I think that's all I really wanted to say. I feel like I forgot something. Oh yeah. When I made the video saying it seems like people are so scared of marriage, I mean, I definitely think people downplay the importance of marriage. And this was an analogy I like someone else used. They basically said, people act like marriage does not do anything, or marriage it's not important to get married, or marriage doesn't matter, or being married doesn't matter because a man can still leave you or whatever. But the analogy she uses is like, well, you might get in a car accident wearing your seatbelt, and you could still die in that crash. But does that mean wearing a seatbelt wasn't a good idea? It's basically saying, like, just because you can't control the consequences, it's just like wearing a seatbelt is always going to be better than not wearing a seatbelt at all because it protects you to a certain extent. Now, is a seatbelt always going to prevent you from a fatal car accident? No, unfortunately, there's some circumstances where it's unavoidable. But it doesn't mean that wearing a seatbelt is not a good idea. She basically made that same analogy with getting married. Now, me personally, I think marriage is more than just for, like, legal protections. I think that marriage in the legalistic way, yes, it does afford someone more legal protections. If your partner does leave you, you get alimony and other things that are not allotted to someone who breaks up with a partner that they were never married to. So, yes, there's definitely some protections that you get from being married, after being in a long-term relationship versus, just dating someone and not having any sort of marriage. But essentially, I think it's really just comes down to um I feel like this has just been, I think it's gotten broken down so much, and there's so much more that goes behind a lot of things that are normalized now. It's just been like years and years, but I do think marriage is an important part of society. I feel like marriage signifies, a family unit in a lot of ways. Um, and I do think it's like being married is a really important part also of our economy. And I feel like it seems like our society is moving away from, I mean, personally, I think there's certain communities that are always going to value marriage. But I definitely see that people value marriage less and less. And my personal thoughts on that are not what people are going to want to hear, but it really just goes back to understanding where marriage comes from. Anyways, obviously, if someone doesn't want to get married, no one can force them to get married. Again, me sharing an opinion is not like it forces someone to do what I feel or do what I say. Like, my opinions, my thoughts control me and nobody else. So it's just like, if you're happy with your life and if you're happy with the way that you date and the way that you're doing things, then it's like, continue doing it. But I really just think if something's not working and you continue doing things the same way, I feel like that's where it's like you maybe should take a look and be like, maybe I need to reevaluate. That's how I feel too. It's like when someone has like constant failed relationships, I think, if at least if that person is seeking, long-term relationship or to be married, and they're constantly finding themselves in a failed relationship after a failed relationship, maybe you should look and reevaluate like the partners that you're choosing. Are you choosing people who share the same values, who share the same goals, who share the same, aspirations for marriage as you do? I think like communication is key in a lot of those types of situations, and I think it's always just good. Me personally, I'm not unhappy being single. Like, it's not bothering. It doesn't bother me that I'm single. And I think like I've honestly am more comfortable being single. Like, sometimes the thought of being in a relationship actually scares me. Not in like an actual fearful, but I'm like, I really just can't imagine myself dating anyone. But maybe that just comes from me having not the best opinion of some men. And maybe I have unrealistic expectations. So, maybe I need to reevaluate my own ideas. But I really just think like, you have to do what's best for you. If you're happy with how your life is going, I mean, relationship or no relationship, it's just like, be happy then. It's like, why even care what someone else thinks if you're happy with how you date and how your relationships go? And that's really the main thing I would tell someone anyways. Like, if you're happy with where you are in your life, well then it shouldn't matter what other people think. But I think the truth is, when you're not happy is when, the opinions of others I guess really will bother you more. I don't know. I personally always tell my friends, I mean, I want my friends, and my friends come to me for relationship advice a lot. Personally, I do think I give really great relationship advice. Even though I'm not in a relationship, I really just think it's just God-given wisdom. But I think, like, at one point I did want to be a relationship counselor. But I always just tell people, like, what are you actually wanting? What are the actions this person is giving you? And if they don't line up to what you want, then you probably don't need to be in a relationship with someone. And I feel like I'm always right about my gut feelings on people. Because I feel like, again, if you are someone who's actively dating and you are looking for someone, like if you're looking for your dream partner, your dream spouse, whatever, I feel like, and you're with someone and there's lots of red flags, they're not showing interest in you, they're not showing intent, like they're not giving you the, I don't even want to just say attention. For me, I feel like intentions are really what matters most. If you're dating, like, you need to be on the same page about what you're looking for, what you're interested in. Do you share the same, values at the end of the day? That's actually something that's really important. And I feel like you can waste years of your life in a relationship with someone and never actually know that person, which is why people will be in like long-term relationships and be like, I found out that we don't even agree about this and that. I'm just like, how are you in a relationship with someone that long and you know nothing about them? Anyways, that's all I really have to say. Again, how I feel about dating and my personal opinions really only affect me and who I date, which is no one. Which is no one. So I am not, what's the word? I'm really not upset. I'm content in my singleness at the moment. I couldn't imagine being in a relationship right now with the amount of, issues I'm dealing with. But, that's just me. And yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Just clarifying, I guess. I mean, I didn't really clarify my stance, more so just express that my opinions really only control who I, like, it only really controls my life. If someone doesn't agree with me, you don't agree with me. You still can live your life however you want. Like, I am not stopping you. My opinion does not stop you from doing anything. That's the other thing I think is crazy. Okay, let me just end with this. I feel like having, like, back to just political, because it's voting season. And I guess maybe it's like, oh, if you don't vote for my candidate and the other one wins, you're affecting my life negatively. But I mean, at the end of the day, elections are supposed to be the majority rules. I don't think you can bully someone into voting for who you want to win. Like, what's fair is fair. I feel like every person should vote for who they want to win. At least vote, like, again, who you vote for is your personal choice. No one is forcing you to vote for any one person or the other. But I feel like I can easily accept that, if whoever I want to win doesn't win, it just means majority of people maybe don't share my same thoughts and opinions. That's okay with me. Also, I just don't put all of my hope and faith into political candidates to be like the saviors of the world. Only Jesus can save. And that's on period.